brought to you by the Every Dollar app. Start budgeting for free today.
Live from the headquarters of Ramsey Solutions, this is the Ramsey Show, where we help people build wealth, do work that they love, and create amazing relationships. I am Rachel Cruze, hosting this show today with my good friend and best-selling author, Jade Warshaw, and we are here to answer your questions. It is a free call anywhere in the country at 888-825-5225. So give us a call. We'll talk about your money. We'll talk about your life, your relationships, anything and everything. We are here for you. So first up, we have Chelsea in Des Moines. Hey, Chelsea. Welcome to the Ramsey Show.
Hi. Thanks for taking my call.
Absolutely. How can we help?
Have you guys ever heard of recasting your mortgage? And
Yes.
I was wondering if there's any downsides to it.
What's making you want to recast? Did you get like an inheritance or like a lump sum?
No, we're just very good at saving, and we have maybe 20 to 30. Well, we are getting a tax refund, but
Okay.
we have $30,000 squirreled away, and we were just wondering if we could lower our monthly payment.
Yeah, so let's talk through this. So for anybody listening, really the idea of recasting is usually if you've got a giant lump sum of money, in this case $30,000, you can put it towards the mortgage, and then you can go in and basically have them redo the amortization schedule. So the interest rate doesn't change, and so there's no closing. You don't have to close to do it, but the point is it can lower your payment. And so my question to you, here we're all about paying off debt. And the best way to pay off the debt is to pay more, not less, right? And so that would be my question is, and that would probably also be my rebuttal against this, is I want to see you paying more towards it. So can you give us more of a snapshot of what's going on financially? Do you guys have debt?
So I'm finishing up nursing school. I have $12,000 of loans, which I can write a check for in the fall when I graduate. But I was waiting to see, if I get a sign-on bonus or where I'm going to work, what kind of loan repayment they have before writing that check off to pay off the debt.
Mm-hmm. Is that it?
That's all.
It's the $12,000.
That's the only debt we have.
And then you guys have, and all your savings is this $30,000. How much will you get back for the tax refund?
$12,000.
$12,000. Okay. So you got $42,000. So yeah, Chelsea, I mean, if I were you guys, I wouldn't wait. I would go ahead and just pay off your student loan because you have the money for it, the $12,000. Go ahead and pay it off with the money that you guys have saved. And then any bonus or anything you get then is just gravy on top, which is awesome. And then what's left for you guys will be that $30,000. And I would make sure that you have a good emergency fund in place. So do you know what your monthly expenses are?
Yeah, they're about $2,500
total. That includes rent or your mortgage and everything?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is the purpose in recasting, I'm just asking, is the mortgage eating up too much of your monthly take home? Are you feeling a squeeze? Is that why you're wanting to do this?
I think technically it is slightly above 25%, but once I start working, we're going to almost double our income. Mm-hmm. So to answer your question, we don't really have to lower the monthly payment, but I'm just excited to pay off our mortgage.
Good.
Yeah.
Listen, I love that. Let me just kind of outline the way we would teach it in order to get to that point, because Rachel and I both want you to get to the point of paying off your mortgage, and you're actually starting to get to the point where you can start working on that. So Rachel already said, you'll have the $30,000 saved. We could call that 3 to 6 months of expenses because your refund is going to pay off the debt. Right? So you pay off the debt, you have 3 to 6 months of expenses. When you start working, then you're going to start saving 15% of your income, you and your husband combined. You'll figure out what that feels like. And then, you can start putting aside a little bit if you guys plan on having children in the future. When that happens, you can start putting aside a little from that. And then you're actually cleared up to then start putting extra money onto your mortgage. And we would just say, apply it directly to the principal. So pay your normal payment. And then when you have extra money, just as you see fit. Like you can be very intentional.
Yeah. And Chelsea, for you guys right now, I mean, your monthly expenses at $2,500, which is pretty remarkable if that's it, is great considering that your mortgage is included in that. If that's true, then your 6-month emergency fund, it may not be that big. It may be, you know, close to 12, 15,000.
Yeah.
So you may have 15 to 18,000 extra of cash in that fund. And if you want to apply it, like Jade is saying, to the principal of your mortgage and go ahead and do that, I would be great with that.
Okay.
And you can even run some numbers and just say, hey, if I did a one-time swipe of 18,000 on the principal, and just so you know. Now, granted, your mortgage is, I mean, how big is it? How much money do you guys owe on it?
148.
Okay.
That's cool.
So it makes a dent.
I mean, it's not recasting it, which is great. But when you do, like, let's say you have 13,000 to put at it, like, right, you don't keep all that 30,000 saved. It is going to cause on your monthly payment more of that payment each month to go towards the principal when you do that. And so that's really the magic of this whole thing. So that's exciting.
Awesome. Yep. Thanks, Chelsea. Thanks for the call. Hope that helps. Yeah, Jade, I think that's one of these things, especially in not this specifically with the recasting, but the housing conversation, you know, trying to kind of find these ways to be able to do it because people want it in the market. It's just crazy expensive. But when things like recasting come out, it sounds good at first where it's like, okay, I could apply all this money. I'll have a lower payment. That's great. But to remember, the goal is not to have a lower payment. The goal is to get out of debt as quickly as possible.
Mm-hmm, that's right. That is right. Well, I love that conversation.
Yeah.
And the truth is, you know, I even find that when you walk through the baby steps, you get to this point where it's like, I've paid off all my debt, and you've been so intense that a lot of people want to carry that intensity to paying off their mortgage as well. And listen, I always say if you and your spouse, if you're married, if you and your spouse decide that you want to keep that intensity, great.
Yep, it's up to you.
You don't have to. You can kind of like pull back a little bit and say, listen, we've worked hard.
Yes.
We have sacrificed. Let's enjoy our life a little bit. And at that point, when you go to paying off your mortgage in baby step 6, it's really about having that intentionality there. And so it's not a set amount. It's not to say every month I have to pay an extra mortgage payment, or, you know, it doesn't have to be hard in the paint like that, but you can decide what that rhythm looks like. Is it anytime you just get a windfall of money, you put it on there? Is it, you know, anytime, you know, you can look at your budget and figure out what's a normal rhythm of me being intentional, but that still allows me to
have life. Have a life. Yes. Yeah. Because for so many people, those steps, you know, 1 through 3, I mean, it's intense, you guys. Mm-hmm. And we were talking to a couple earlier, even today, and kind of encouraging them, motivating them to be like, to go all in. And the deeper seeing that sacrifice, the faster you're going to start to see progress. And it's worth sacrificing really deep for a short amount of time versus just dragging it out. Mm-hmm. And then, you know, once you're done with that, though, especially those that, man, they sacrifice like really deep, have some breathing room, to your point.
That's right.
That intentionality, steps 4 through 6, they're there. So even for Chelsea, even if they wanted to keep that and not put it towards the mortgage right now, wait till she has a job, wait till the fall a little bit, you know, that's okay too. But I would pay off those loans, those student loans today, since the money's there. They have a built-in emergency fund, which is great. And then anything extra they want to put to the house, put towards the principal. Thanks for the call again, Chelsea. This is The Ramsey Show.
You know, it doesn't take a degree in statistics to realize that this one stinks. 93% of undergraduate private student loans are co-signed. So when you're delinquent and drowning in private student loan debt, mom or dad or Uncle Joe is stuck in that financial stress along with you. But there is a way out. Why Refi? Why Refi offers a custom refinancing option with a fixed rate loan based on your ability to pay. And the average interest rate Why Refi offers is 3.9%, which can significantly reduce your monthly payment and decrease your total cost. Why Refi refinances your defaulted private student loans that other places won't touch. And I trust them to help you get out of debt. So don't be another statistic in the student loan swamp. Contact Why Refi at 844-2-RAMSEY or go to whyrefi.com/Ramsey. That's 844-2-RAMSEY or the letter Y, then REFY.com/Ramsey.
So for years, people have been asking for clothing items, Jade.
Yes.
That say things that they love when it comes to money. Things like better than I deserve or debt free. And people will make their own.
Yeah.
They come and, they have their shirts or their sweatshirts and all of it. And so finally, somebody on our team had the grand idea of like, hey, we just need to do this. So you guys, we have some Ramsey merch, which is really fun. We sold this for the first time at the Total Money Makeover Weekend Live. And so many people were wearing it, and it was so great.
It's
and actually,
cute, too.
It is cute. I saw a bunch of these girls wearing the sweatshirt, and I remember I told the girl, I honestly, this sounds terrible. I didn't even know it was ours. And I told them, I was like, I love your sweatshirts. Like, thanks, we just got them out in the store. And I was like, I'm glad we're selling cute stuff, y'all. So like, look at oversized sweatshirts,
Yes.
ladies. So it just says debt-free, good
But
conversation.
it's embroidered. It's not just like screened on.
That's
like
right.
it's like
very nice. Yes. And then we have some t-shirts, you guys. This one says, better than I deserve. We got a
Classic.
blue one. Yes, beautiful. A hat, another, what's this one say? We have food at home. What a classic Ramsey way. A hat, and then the great, we love a good mug.
Love it. That's like the Stanley kind of.
Yes, white Stanley looking mug. Live like no one else. All of it, you guys. So it's just some fun merch. So make sure to check it out. You can go to RamseySolutions.com/store. And another great perk of it, which I think is always fun, is it's kind of a conversation starter. When you have somebody that's wearing like a cute debt-free sweatshirt, naturally people are probably going to ask some questions. So then
100%.
you get to share your story, talk through maybe the process, the journey you're on to be debt-free or whatever it may be. So it's some fun stuff. So again, go to RamseySolutions.com/store and look at the fun stuff that we have there for you. All right, up next on the line, we have Joe in Palm Springs. Hey, Joe, welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you. I appreciate you guys taking my call.
Absolutely. How can we help?
I'm calling because my wife and I, we've gotten to a point where we've only got two remaining debts. It's our car payment and then our house payment.
Nice.
And we want to know if we should be throwing all of our money at the car and the house, knowing that a neighboring school district, my wife is a teacher, by the way, and a neighboring school district just started issuing layoffs to teachers because they're running out of some of the COVID leftover money. And we're a little bit nervous about how hard we should be going after the debt, or if maybe we should be supplementing, our 6-month emergency fund a little bit beyond what that 6-month amount would have been.
Do you think she could get a job within 6 months, a teaching job?
Probably not for the pay that she has. She works in the more, probably the higher paid district in our neck of the woods over here.
Okay.
And so, if she were to be losing a job like that, obviously that'd be a pretty heavy hit to, our income that we have coming on in.
What is the income?
She'd absolutely go and work. So our gross from last year is at $146,000. Right now we're taking home about probably $8,900 a month. She's also out, other caveat too, she's out on maternity leave right now, only bringing in 50% of her regular pay, at least until August when the new school year starts.
Okay.
How much of the 146 was hers versus?
Hers was 88,000.
Okay.
And then mine is another 60.
So Joe, have they given her any indication that she would be one of these layoffs, or is this just like oh my gosh, they're laying off and we're scared and we're kind of freezing?
Yeah,
I just wonder how much of this is actually a reality for her.
No, I mean, her district won't tell anybody anything, but she's a relatively newer teacher. She doesn't have as long of a tenure as a lot of her other colleagues do.
Okay. Honestly, Joe, you guys have 6 months. If you had 3 months, I would say I would probably bump it up. But
Absolutely.
I think you're 6 months. I think that, you guys are fine. If you want to run out a monthly budget on what a new income would look like if worst case scenario happened and she, did have to get a job, with a lower pay, what that pay would be, and you guys just kind of run some calculations and see how you feel with that. But honestly, the 6 month emergency fund, that's the conservative side, obviously, of the spectrum. And so I would feel okay with that. If it were me. Now I understand that she's, you guys have a new baby. Is this your first?
Yeah, it is.
Okay. And she is planning on going back to work, correct?
That's correct. Yeah. In August.
Okay. And the truth is, if the worst were to happen and there was a layoff or if she was let go, she could find a teaching job. It may not be at, in the district you want or at that same pay level, but she would find something until she finds the thing. So I do feel good about that. What do you owe on the car?
The car, we just owe $22,000.
Okay.
We've prepaid it all the way through March of next year. So as it is right now, it's not accruing any interest, and no interest will hit it until next March.
Why did you prepay it as opposed to making a lump sum towards the principal?
We just weren't sure how our finances would shake out once our baby arrived. So we paid out, we killed off all of our debts and then tried to pay ahead on the car as much as possible, just so that wouldn't be something we have to worry about for about a year's time, in case we just had money issues that popped up with.
How much is in the emergency fund, Joe?
We've got $22,000 in our emergency fund.
And that's what you owe on the car?
That's right. Yeah.
If you want to know,
do you think that we should try paying ahead on the car, or should we just?
Well, it's just kicking the can down the road, continuing to stay in debt versus just paying it off and being done with it.
Yeah.
If you really want to know what we would tell you, if we're just chatting face to face, I would tell you, I would say, and this is what I would say to anybody, I'd say you're going to be better off paying off that debt today, because what's the payment? And I know you're ahead on the payment, but what is the payment?
The payment is $700 a month.
Okay, so think about how quickly you could save up an emergency fund when you have an extra $700 a month, along with whatever extra margin. And that way you're done. It's free and clear. You're not worrying about interest. You're not playing a game. And then you guys are set up going forward that it's not really the question that you're asking today becomes a moot point. It's like, from this point on, we're saving up until we have a nest egg of 3 to 6 months that makes us feel safe and secure. And we're going into this maternity time and, new baby time with ultimate peace because you don't have any payments.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hope that helps, Joe. I know it's probably not the,
it does. Yeah.
Maybe not the direction you were calling, but again, it's this idea of
we wanted to run it by someone else. I appreciate having someone on the outside looking in because we kind of get tunnel vision on what our concerns are.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, and I think the reality too is what can happen so often that yes, the layoffs are a reality, right? They are happening. But at the rate of which they are and it actually coming to fruition, it hasn't happened yet.
That's right.
There is a point of that reality of saying, okay, if something were to happen, then we act upon it. We don't necessarily have to act upon it when it hasn't occurred yet.
That's right. Yeah.
And sometimes that's a different mindset. But not being able, if you guys wanted to keep, I wonder when she would be able to know about the job, but still taking it down to that $1,000 and then you guys saving what you can.
Yes.
To save up for it.
And it's worth noting, honestly, for anybody listening, I'm always going to recommend if you have extra money, I'm going to recommend you put it towards the principal, not make extra payments,
yes,
right?
It's kind of like the recasting we just talked about.
That's
to
right.
a degree, right? You're kind of like shuffling the deck a little bit versus just saying, no, go actually on the principal because that's going to help you better in the long term, mathematically speaking.
And you almost always have to call in order to do that, whether it's with your mortgage, a student loan, a car payment. You almost always need to call them and say, I already satisfied my monthly payment, which satisfies the interest for this month. Now, this lump sum amount, which is separate, I want it to go fully towards the principal, and you have to call in order to do that. So
yeah, we were talking to somebody, it may have been on the show or on social media or something. I remember seeing, and they were making extra payments, but when they saw their principal really hadn't changed much.
Yeah.
And it was just catching up on all this interest payments,
Yes.
and it didn't do mathematically what they wanted it to do. So that's a really good point, that when you are making extra lump sums towards your debt on the principal, that usually takes a phone call, some level of communication to be able to make sure that that's where that money's being directed, because that's where you're going to see the biggest bang for your buck in that.
That's right.
So it's a great question. Thanks, Joe, for the call. This is The Ramsey Show. Hey guys, it's Rachel Cruze here to tell you about a faith-based alternative to health insurance that can make healthcare more affordable. Christian Healthcare Ministries. CHM allows members to share each other's healthcare costs, and it's as easy as 1, 2, 3. Step 1, choose the healthcare provider you want. Step 2, submit your eligible bills. And Step 3, get reimbursed. CHM members take care of your eligible medical bills. With no networks and the freedom to choose your healthcare provider, CHM is the best option for Christians who want to take care of their families and help other believers. Find out more at chministries.org/budget. Welcome back. I am Rachel Cruze, hosting with Jade Warshaw, and here to answer your questions. So give us a call at 888-825-5225. And today's question of the day comes from Miranda in Florida.
Yeah, she says, a couple of years ago, my husband bought a house with his mom. He told her that if she helped with the down payment, he would pay the mortgage, taxes, utilities, etc. I agreed because I thought it would be temporary as a way to help each other out, but it's sounding more like it's a permanent thing to secure her retirement. I didn't imagine living my adult life working so hard to pay bills and still feel like a guest in our home. I'm not against him taking care of his mom. I just want to live in my own space where I can relax. I love my husband so much and I don't want to get a divorce. I told him if things don't change in a couple of years, we need to find our own place. He suggested that we rent a small apartment where we can live by ourselves with our child. His mom can stay in the house while we continue to pay the mortgage as an investment property. She's elderly, so she cannot work. Is this the best solution?
Oh, man. Oh, geez. Okay, Miranda, we hear you.
Yes.
We hear you.
Yes.
And I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. But this is why, you guys, situations like this, especially if you bought a house with the mom, I'm assuming both names are on the deed. That's where stuff gets real dicey. So,
hopefully that's not the case. Hopefully she just gave money towards the down payment.
Yes. So what I would do is there's a realistic conversation to be had of, honestly, if someone's going to live in a small apartment versus a house.
Say it, Rachel.
There's a family involved with children, right? And you can find a great spot for her, but it's just her living, right? It's just what she needs. And now, if she's elderly and doesn't have a lot of money, depending on her situation and where you guys are, there may be a reality in a world where you do help pay maybe the rent in that way.
Grandma got to go to the apartment.
Yes, but grandma's going to go to the apartment.
Yeah.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, especially if you guys are not on the same page, we know, I think it's kind of more few and far between, but people that live with their in-laws and it works,
Sure.
that's that happens and both parties are genuinely
happy,
great with the situation. But the fact that you guys are on such uneven footing when it comes to the emotional decision of like, hey, living with your mother-in-law, then something needs to change. And again, and and there's a lot in that on whose name is on the house too, because there would have to be a whole process to get someone's name off or someone's changed and all of that. So in the cleanest way possible, if his name and you guys own the house, but she was the one that was just contributing right to the down payment. There'll have to be some conversation of equity though, but because of what the amount she put in versus what you guys have paid, because she did put a down payment down. So there is a level to be compensated from an equity standpoint in that for her retirement. But yeah, this ongoing process with no end in sight, that's what needs to change. And for you guys to have an end date would be the goal.
Yeah, absolutely. I validate that 100%. I think it's totally fine as the wife to say, hey, I'd like a place of our own and be able to experience life as our own family here. And I love your mother, but we can help her with an apartment. But there's also something to be said. She says that they've been working, paying off their debt. She says, we've been working our whole adult life, and it's like, you've got to be in a place where you can help
That's right.
other people. And I don't know that they're in the place financially where they're able to help and not hurt themselves in the process.
No, that's a great
Just
point.
throwing that out there.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's the hard thing too, is because when people get in a situation, especially with, parents, when they're going to retirement, we've had a lot of calls of that, of kids saying, what's my responsibility for my parents? But if you're not in a good place financially, then you're not going to be able to help. So getting you guys in a really steady place financially, that if there was margin to be able to help, and that's what you guys decided together, then that's a whole other, thing. But but I would see what is in her retirement and what she can float, you know, in a living situation. But that is sticky and it's hard because there could be promises that she feels like you guys made or that he made and you're breaking those. So there's just going to have to be a really hard conversation, and you may have to revisit that conversation once or twice because it's going to be could be pretty emotional. So
100%.
I hope that helps, Miranda. All right, up next we have Darby in New Orleans. Hi, Darby. Welcome to the show.
Hello, Rachel. How you doing?
Doing great. How can we help?
I have a two-part question. My son graduated high school recently, and he is planning to join the Marines in about a year. So I have a vehicle of my own, a 2017 with about 110,000 miles on it. So I'm trying to figure out how should I pass. I want to pass the vehicle to him, but should I give it to him as a gift, or should I sell the vehicle and give him the cash to buy his own vehicle?
It's paid for?
Yes, the vehicle is paid for.
How much is it worth, do you think?
About 7,000.
Okay. I mean, I either way, I think would work. I think maybe having a conversation with him. I mean, it's a very kind of you. Yeah. I mean, if you're in a place where you can let go of this asset and you're fine and it's paid for and everything, maybe just ask him, hey, do you want this car? And it may be actually a really great quality car. Even though it's past 100,000 miles, it still could be in great condition versus him having to go and car shop and, pay for an inspection and like all of that you have to do when you buy another used car. Or give him the option. Yeah, if you want to go through the selling process, I can help you with that and even help you find another car that's worth the same amount of money. It sounds like more hassle. There's a part of me that would just take the car and be thankful for it. But I guess, it wouldn't offend you if he said, oh my gosh, I hate this car. And I would much rather have another $7,000 car that you guys could kind of tag team and do that together. Is that possible?
Yes. Like if I give it to him or sell it, I'm not selling him, but if I give it to him and I take cash for it, I plan to buy myself a vehicle with cash.
Oh, you're having him pay you back?
No.
Oh.
I would probably just give it as a gift.
Uh-huh.
Or just sell the vehicle to somebody and get cash for it, and then maybe just see what he wants to do. Maybe he wants a different type of vehicle, than what I have right now.
Yeah.
Right.
So I would
options.
I would ask him. I think that's a fair thing. Yeah, just to see what he wants, because he may be great with just being given the car. Or again, if he doesn't want that specific car, then he could say, yeah, Dad, could you help, could you sell it and we'll get some cash and we can go car shopping together for that amount of cash. That could be, but I think it'd be okay for him to make that call since it'll be him driving it.
That's true.
Yes.
Yeah. What will you do if he says, yeah, Dad, I want the car, and what will you drive and what's your plan for your next vehicle?
I have cash saved already to buy a truck, and I'm looking 25 to 30,000.
Okay.
Awesome. So great.
Good.
How generous though, Darby, and what a great position to be in. I'm like, to start off, as he's graduating and going off to the Marines and everything
Excellent.
for a year, to be able to have a car, that's a really generous gift of you to give your son.
So I have a second part question of the same thing.
Okay. Yeah. We have about 30 seconds.
Okay. Should I put his name on my insurance?
Put his name on your insurance.
Car insurance?
And
Yeah, I would price it out. Car insurance these days is getting like really
Expensive.
crazy
Yeah.
and expensive. So I would probably price out what the cheapest option would be, if it would be to bundle on yours, or if it's cheaper to get an individual policy.
You could go to ramseysolutions.com/checkup and it'll do all of those insurance checkups for you, and you can see the best option, or check with Xander Insurance, really.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, go to xanderinsurance.com and see what they would do, because car insurance, that's a tricky field right now, Jade. We're seeing
It's
prices
gotten
have
crazy.
just gotten, and even home insurance, everything, it's just really gone up. So I would price out and see, and again, if he's a responsible driver and it's not going to hurt you long term, I would be okay that for a year, because he's going to go off to the Marines. I would be okay with that. Thanks, Darby, for the call.
Your home is probably the biggest purchase you'll ever make. And with the real estate market like it is now, you'll need a mortgage company you can trust. That's Churchill Mortgage. You guys, buying a home is not a button push. It's a process. It takes building a relationship with an expert who will dig into the details and give you peace of mind without busting your budget. Churchill is one of the highest rated lenders in the country. And they're Ramsey trusted because they do what's right for you. Go to churchillmortgage.com to get started.
Welcome back to the Ramsey Show. I am Rachel Cruze, hosting with Jade Warshaw, and we've had so many new people join the show because of podcasts and YouTube and all of it, and so many of you callers are even new callers. We've gotten
That's
a lot that say, oh my gosh, I've just been listening for the past 3 months. Some of you have been with us for 3 years, for 13 years, but regardless how long you've been listening to the show, one of the best ways to get the word out is to share it with your friends, with your family, and we see that. We see the bump when it comes to the algorithm. We see where we're rating in different lists, and what's great about that, I don't know if you're like me, but if I'm like on a walk and I'm like, oh, I need a new podcast, I'll go to the top shows just
to see what they
I just
are.
search like the top and kind of look through, and sometimes that's how people find us, which is awesome, because we want people to have peace when it comes to their life and their money. And if we're able to help guide that conversation and hopefully, give some new perspective, maybe a new plan, a new pathway for people, that's really what we want. We really do have a heart here to help people find peace when it comes to their money, because it's such a stressful topic, Jade, and such full of a lot of shame and confusion. There's so many messages out there. So if we can give common sense truth, that's what we want to do. And people find that, and it helps change their lives. And one of the ways they do that is because of you guys sharing the show, reviewing it, subscribing, all of it. So we thank you so much for those of you that have done that or that will do that. We really really appreciate it. All right, up next, we have Graydon in Spokane, Washington. Hey, Graydon, welcome to the show.
Hey, how y'all doing?
Doing great. How can we help?
My girlfriend and I are looking to get engaged probably near the end of the year this year and get married in 2025. And we both own our own homes. And I know normally Dave says not to invest in real estate unless you're going to pay cash. But since we both own our own homes, we were thinking of selling my house and using the equity from that to buy a home because we'll have 5 kids put together that will need to fit under one roof. And then would it be dumb to keep her house as a rental at that point and rent it out? Or should we sell both homes? I was just curious since we already own both homes and have over $200,000 in equity on both.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so tell me about your home. How much is it worth if you were to sell it today?
$450 to $500.
Okay, and how much do you owe on it?
$200.
Okay. And then how about her house?
Hers is pretty much in the same range, $450 to $500, and she owes $250.
And she owes $250. Okay, great.
So if you sold them both, you'd walk away with what?
Probably
around
$400, $450, somewhere in there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so you said you guys plan on having families. What would happen if you sold them both and put this money down on the house that you want to buy together?
That's definitely an option. That's kind of what I was wanting to ask. Like, I know the thing is right now, obviously the interest rates are significantly lower on the homes we own, and whatever we buy together, the interest rate's going to be triple plus what we're currently paying.
Yeah.
Or I guess double, a little, probably 2.5 times what we're currently paying. So I didn't know if because of the lower interest rate, if it would just make sense to keep it as an investment property and rent it out, or if it would just make more sense to sell both.
Yeah, I mean, in most cases, it's going to be to sell both. I mean, unless you had the cash to significantly put down on one of the houses and the one that you want to buy. I mean, are you guys combined when this happens, when you guys get married? What will your situation look like financially? What kind of debt do you guys have? Consumer debt? What kind of savings comes into play?
I just recently started the program, and I wasn't very far buried in the first place. I only had like $3,000 in credit card debt, and that only took me a month to pay off. And then I know she has $40,000 in student loans, but I figured use the equity from my house to be able to pay that off quickly. And then our combined household income would be in the 180 to 200 range. My income varies based off overtime.
That's great.
So it would easily afford both houses, and that's kind of why I was like, maybe it makes sense. I'm not quite sure.
Whose house is bigger? Like, what's the better property of the two, yours or hers?
So mine, we could in theory fit the whole family in. It's a 5-bedroom, 3-bath.
Oh.
So in theory we could fit, but it has no backyard. The backyard's trash, and the house isn't nearly as nice and stuff on the inside. It's older than her home, but her home only has 4 bedrooms, and we'll have 5 kids right away, and then we would like to ideally add another kid eventually.
Why will you have 5 kids right away?
She has 3 kids and I have 2.
Got it. Okay, so you're combining families. There's part of me, here's another option, and I mean, this is not a right or wrong, but what would it look like to sell one of the properties, because they're about worth the same, and there's the same amount of equity, it seems like, just about. What would it look like to sell one of them and pay off the student loans and put most of it towards the house that you keep, and it's almost mortgage free? And with your income, you're mortgage free in the next, I don't know, in a very short period of time, depending on how quickly you want to go. And then you're kind of like in this place where we don't have to do anything, where we don't have any debt, or it's very low, our mortgage is very low. And if you decide, okay, the 5-bedroom house isn't working for us, at some point we're going to want a bigger yard, that's great, but you're just financially better off, and you don't have the rental hanging over your heads, and you've freed up a bunch of income.
Yeah, I almost would just say Graydon to sell hers. Mm-hmm. And then you guys take, what's left, when that's what Jade is saying, but throw it at this mortgage and at the student loan. You can basically have everything paid off.
Yeah.
And then wait a year or two. I mean, there's no rush, and just see even at that point, what the housing market's doing, what rates are doing, all of it. Because I would almost just want to be in a paid for house at this point than try to juggle 2 mortgages, because the truth is too, in a dream world, having hers as an investment property, I get it. But what happens when someone doesn't pay rent? What happens when things break in it? I mean, you still owe money on it. So in that case, it's not this cash-free investment. It's something that you guys are going to have to deal with. And a part of me would just say, golly, I would just simplify it all. Enjoy your married life, newly married for a year or two. And then if you guys want to upgrade houses, you can. Because are all 5 kids, will they be full custody with both of you? Like, will you guys have all 5, like, pretty consistently, would you say? Or what will that look like?
She has her kids 50-50 pretty much exact. And then I have my kids every Thursday and every other weekend.
Okay. So even from a space standpoint, you guys would be fine in the 5-bedroom. And I know you said it's older and all of that, but man, Graydon, I'm telling you, there's something about
freedom.
Yeah. Not having any payments at that. I mean, like, you guys have done really well so far. So just keep that. I would just keep that going. And I wouldn't fool with keeping an extra property.
I think about whichever one, if you're really concerned with interest rates or really concerned with wanting to stick with one of them long term for some reason, I'd choose the one that you maybe can make into what you want it to be, right? Like you said, one of them, the yard is trash, but maybe the other one is good and there's like space if you ever wanted to, make some improvements with it, because the truth is you're going to have a lot of extra money that you can throw at fun things like that if you do it the way that Rachel and I just suggested. So I'd also put that into the equation and think, okay, maybe the yard is trash, but maybe if we put some money into it, it could be awesome. So there's some creative thinking, I think, that can be done here, not just financially, but to make one of these properties what you ultimately want it to be.
Yeah. Okay. And then I'm going to give you another path, Graydon. Sorry, I know we're going all the way around.
Let's go.
If you sold both, like the price point of houses right now, what would a house be in like your dream world? Like, what's like, oh yeah, we could get it for X amount?
I mean, it's kind of crazy. We've been kind of looking on Zillow a little bit, and this is allegedly, according to the Imler, one of the most hottest areas in the country right now. And if you put a 5-bedroom filter, you can put it from $300,000 to $800,000.
Yeah.
And the cheapest house is like $600,000.
Right. Okay. So, because I was going to say, and the cheapest house is probably crappier. Yeah. Is the cheapest house crappier than your house?
No, I would say it's nicer. Like,
it's
you
nicer,
have a better kitchen, granite countertops, and all that stuff.
Okay,
so, like,
because
it's a little bit higher end. But
okay, because if you did sell both, you'd have like around $550,000, but you'll still have closing. You'll have a lot of fees in that, which
and
may
the
take down.
loan.
Right.
Yeah, which would take it down. And then you'd have a small mortgage on a small amount, on maybe $200,000. But I don't know if that's worth it right now, Graydon. And a part of me would just,
it's the rates for me.
Yeah, I would sell hers. Take that equity, pay off her student loans, pay off most of your mortgage. And man, and you can always upgrade countertops and all of that later if you want, or wait a year or two. And if prices, stay the same or continue to tick up a little bit, save some money, sell yours, and, put that money with it and get a house that you guys want. So I hope that helps. Thanks, Jade, for being a great co-host. Thanks to everyone in the booth. Thank you, America. This is The Ramsey Show.
Brought to you by the EveryDollar app. Start budgeting for free today.
Live from the headquarters of Ramsey Solutions, it's The Ramsey Show, where we help people build wealth, do work that they love, and create amazing relationships. I am Rachel Cruze, hosting this hour with my good friend, Ramsey personality and bestselling author Jade Warshaw, and we are here to answer your calls. So give us a call at 888-825-5225. We will be answering your questions about life, money, career, relationships, anything and everything. We are here to talk about it. So up first, we have Jason in Irvine, California. Hey, Jason. Welcome to the show.
Hey, how are you guys doing?
We're doing great. How can we help?
Yeah, so I'm a graduate student, and I'm really wondering how I should be spending my extra money. So what I take home is usually about $33,000 a year, and I already have a 6-month emergency fund. I have no debt, And I've maxed out my Roth IRA for this year already. And I'm just wondering, the extra money that I have, where should that be going? What should I do with it?
Wow, good for you, Jason.
Very good.
How are you paying for school?
So it's fully funded. It's a PhD program in STEM, so
Wow.
they pay me to do it.
Good for you. That's amazing. Yeah, so you're making money through the school and getting it paid for. That's incredible.
That's great.
When do you graduate?
Probably 2026, maybe 2027.
Okay, so 2 to 3 years.
How old are you?
Yeah. I'm 25.
Okay.
And how much extra money are we talking a month? So you've maxed out your Roth, which is amazing. How much money per month do you have that you're wondering what to do with?
So typically, in a typical month, I'll save between $1,000 and $1,500 out of my stipend.
Okay.
And then I put away a big chunk of that to go into my Roth for the next year.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess what I'm looking at is like $6,000 at the end of the year that I don't know if I should just throw it in a high yield savings or if I should be investing it, or what do you think?
Yeah. If I were you, I would just put that in a high yield savings account and I would just let it sit there. Because, I mean, we're talking, 12 to maybe 20 on the high end after 3 years of cash. And I would assume, Jason, after school, you'll probably be looking for a job, possibly be moving. And that could be a great down payment for a house.
Yeah. What's your living situation now?
Yeah, so I have student housing, which is subsidized, which is great because Irvine's very expensive. Ideally, I think the next big purchase that I want to make in life would be a house, ideally here in Irvine, which would be quite expensive. So you think just, renting for a few years after I graduate, saving up as much as I can, and then, the extra that I have now, just putting it into a high yield savings would be good.
Yeah, that's what I would do. And for a first-time home buyer, you'll look at putting anywhere from 5 to 20% down. I mean, more if you have it, but you probably won't, considering California real estate. But
I was going to ask about that. Irvine is expensive. Do you plan on staying there? Is there a reason because your family's there, or?
Yeah, so I have lots of family nearby. My girlfriend's family is nearby.
Okay.
I love it here. I'm happy here.
Okay,
yeah, that's great.
There you go. That's enough for me.
Yeah, so I think it'll be, you'll have to, have some good savings to be able to do that. And remember, when you do purchase your first home, it doesn't have to be a single family. It could be a condo. It could be a townhome. I think just getting into the market is great. And honestly, Jason, you're in a really great position. I'm like, you're maxing out,
very good.
One avenue of retirement, which is great. But I would hate for you to have all retirement funded and then no cash and then you're not able to buy a house.
Right.
And, so I would put that extra and some high yield savings right now. I mean, they're getting 4 to 5%. So
100%.
So it's really great. I mean, you can really take advantage of that, which is awesome. So that's exactly what I would do.
That's where my 6 month is right now.
Oh, perfect.
So just keep adding to that.
Awesome. So great, Jason. Well done. We applaud you. But just put in a high yield savings. You probably have to rent maybe a year or 2 or 3 after school even. But I think a down payment on a house is your next big step. So great job. Next, we have Alexis is that Lawrenceburg, Tennessee? Hey, Alexis. Welcome to the show.
Hello, ladies. My name is Alexis, obviously. I'm on baby step number 2 with 18,000 still to go. I'm a single mom. I was calling because I'm not sure if I should pause the baby steps to save up to move back to Ohio, where I'm from. My dad has end-stage cancer, and when he passes, I will resume power of attorney over my grandmother, who is in a memory care unit. She has dementia.
I'm sorry.
So I'm not really sure if I should do that or not.
Oh, gosh, Alexis, I'm so sorry.
Thank you.
Okay, so you're looking at, you want to move to Ohio because your dad is sick, and have they given him, I know a diagnosis. Do you know, have the doctor said anything with just lifespan and stuff? Do you know? Is it aggressive?
Well, they told, well, it's slow, but they gave him 6 years, and that was 8 years ago. So he's been on borrowed time for the past couple of years.
Wow. Okay. So have you looked into moving costs? What it'll take to move? Have you looked at places to rent possibly up there? Have you looked into any of that?
Yeah, I have. I have the option of staying with my dad and just kind of doing half of the bills there, or finding my own place, which would kind of be equivalent to what I'm paying now in Tennessee.
Okay.
So it's kind of the same. And I have a remote job that allows me to work from anywhere.
Oh, good.
That's great. I can take my job with me.
Okay. And you said you're a single mom. How many kids do you have?
Only my son.
Okay. How old is he?
And he's homeschooled. He's 14.
He's 14 and homeschooled. Okay. Yeah. Well, I think, I think this is one that I would say, pause your debt snowball and save up some money for sure to be able to cash flow this move. I think this is an important move. This is one of the times I would probably say pause to be able to be close to your dad during this time, especially since this is, what's looking like in your future, even taking care of your grandmother. So I think it would just be up to you, Alexis, to run the numbers on what's best from you from a financial standpoint of staying with him or getting your own place. And just think of the emotional toll too, right? You'll have your son. And for him, is that a gift being there with him and his grandfather, or is it, we probably need some space, from some of it because he's, will have his own thing. Like what, as a mom, I think you can make that call from an emotional standpoint, but also don't forget about that financial standpoint too, because I want you to be wise with that.
Will you have a support system when you're there in Ohio? Because you're taking on a lot.
I mean, my little brother is there, and so I'll have him, and I have my church family.
Okay, great.
My home church from when I was in Ohio.
Okay,
so
that's good.
I'll have that, but as far as the rest of my family, no, they'll remain here in Tennessee.
Okay, yeah, that's a lot, to go, and you've got the situation with your mom, the situation with your dad, plus a move, plus a teenager. There's just a lot in that equation. I just want to make sure you've got people around you that you can lean on and cry on their shoulder and let them hold you up and take care of you, because you're going to need a little bit of care yourself. So.
For sure. Yeah. So again, this is one of the times we talk about for momentarily pausing the baby steps, but a move like this would be one of those. So to pause and save up and make sure you cash flow all of that.
Yeah.
But Alexis, I'm so sorry. This is a hard season. I know, but you're doing a great job, and hopefully we helped give you a little bit of peace and guidance. This is The Ramsey Show.
Hey guys, here's a quick math refresher. There are only 24 hours in a day. So you and your team need to streamline time-consuming tasks to focus on the activities that actually make money. Smart businesses are realizing that to reduce headaches as they scale, they need NetSuite by Oracle. NetSuite is the #1 cloud financial system, bringing accounting, financial management, inventory, and HR into one platform. With NetSuite, you reduce IT costs because NetSuite is cloud-based. You cut the cost of maintaining multiple systems because you've got one source of truth. And you improve efficiency by bringing all your major business processes into one platform, slashing manual tasks and errors. So join the 37,000 plus companies, including Ramsey Solutions, that have done the math and are boosting their efficiency with NetSuite. And right now, download NetSuite's popular KPI checklist designed to drive the right behaviors for your business absolutely free at netsuite.com/Ramsey. That's netsuite.com/Ramsey to get your free KPI checklist.
Welcome back to The Ramsey Show. I am Rachel Cruze, hosting with Jade Warshaw and taking your questions. Up next, we have Kaylee in San Diego. Hey, Kaylee, welcome to the show.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. How can we help?
I just have a question. We're in kind of a unique situation. We're a military family out in San Diego. We bought a house a couple years ago, and we don't totally love the area. It's kind of a situation where I don't feel safe when he deploys in the area. We're in a position where we think we can make probably about $40,000 off of the house if we sell it right now, just because of the market in San Diego. And we only have about $35K in debt. So right now we're considering selling the house and then taking the money we make off of the house and just moving on base, paying off all of our debt and being debt free. But I just am wondering if that sounds like a good idea. I don't know. I feel like it's out of order on the steps almost. I don't know.
Yeah, well, we wouldn't normally tell somebody to sell their house to pay off debt. We would normally just say, work extra, cut your expenses and just do it that way. But if you're not happy with the home that you're in for some reason, then I think that's a separate conversation, right? So I would look at the house as one conversation, the debt as another. And then if the finances overlap, then that's a pro. But I would kind of keep them, I would keep them separate, because would you, even if you didn't have debt, would you still sell?
Yeah, I'd say so, probably.
Okay.
The situation we're in, I mean, we're going to have to move anyways in the next 2 years.
Yep.
Because he's military and they're going to make us move in 2 years. And we've got a great house on base that we're interested in. But of course, that puts us back into like the rental people, of course, which that part I don't love. But yeah, I think we would sell the house anyways. Definitely.
Yeah, well, I would say, because of career choice and being in the military, rental people is where I would put you guys anyways, because what you're experiencing now, you move so often, and until you're in a place long term or, his time is up there, I would tell you to rent anyways. So yeah, this feels like the right move, Kaylee.
Yeah, I think so. My only question would be, I'm always looking at the behavior part of it. So what kind of debt was the $35,000?
$35,000. So only some of it is a student loan, about $8,000. That's all I have left on that. And we were actively paying that off, but now I'm actually going back to school. So we did pause on that just so I can bankroll school and pay for it right now.
Okay, great.
Yeah, and then the other is a car payment, of course.
A car payment. Okay.
That's the other one. Yeah.
So it sounds like you've kind of learned your lesson. You're like, if I go to school this time, I'm cash flowing it, paying off the car. From now on, we buy cars in cash. I just like to check, because I do think that sometimes when there is a convenient option to pay off debt, I'm happy that you have that, but I also want to make sure that the behavior is in check too, so that you don't go back in debt again.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely. Yes. And I mean, the student loan the first time too is like lost the scholarship situation too. Yeah. So we're definitely like on the same page. We want to be debt free. This definitely seems like kind of an easy way out, I guess, but we're just not really happy where we live.
Yeah, listen, I'm glad it's there for you. That's great.
I thought it might be a good idea.
Yeah, for sure.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, great. I'm glad to know that we're on the right track then. Thanks, guys.
Absolutely. Thanks, Kaylee. Yeah, again, I would separate those, right? Because I think, like you said, it's easy to do something like sell a home and just have a sweeping pass over the debt. And
right.
You keep on moving, but those conversations are important. And again, being in the housing market right now, if you're in, and especially, if there's a good rate and all of that, that's such to your advantage. But he's in the military, you guys, and it's like you're moving constantly. And always when it comes to, if you're in a job that you're not going to be somewhere for at least 5 years, renting is usually the smartest option, because by the time, up and down of the market, depending on what's going on, you're less likely to lose money in some capacity. And so renting is usually it's the easiest and honestly the safest way when you're in somewhere for less than 5 years consistently, like a military family. Okay, so Jade, there was a really interesting article here on Hill.com that says almost half of recent home buyers stretch to make on-time mortgage payments.
Yeah.
So it's about 50% of homeowners right now.
Yeah, there are some really cool stats that were in that article that I think really just point to the madness of the time. Like, it's just, we went from a time where people were paying $50,000 over asking and $100,000 over asking, and then to a point where like interest rates have gone through the roof, and it's like, am I ever going to be able to buy? There's just been so many shifts in the market and people just trying to do the best they can. And so a couple of the stats that I thought were interesting, 43% of recent home buyers say that they're struggling to make on-time mortgage payments. And that might be because they overbought or, kind of overextended themselves. This one says roughly 47% said that they feel in over their heads financially, which we talk a lot about that. We want people to feel like their mortgage is a blessing and not a burden. Still 44% say that they have taken on additional non-mortgage debt since purchasing their home. So I feel like, Rachel, that points to my mortgage is probably more than 25% of my take-home pay.
Yep.
And in order to make life feel comfortable and feel like what we're used to, we're using credit cards or we're using debt for things that maybe we would have used cash for. Here's another one. It says 82%. This is the one that gets me. 82% said that they had regrets about their purchase or that it didn't improve their happiness. And that, Rachel, I feel like that's
key.
Right in your zone.
Oh my gosh. It is. And like the housing idea, again, financially speaking, it's wise to own a home.
Yeah.
Right. Eventually it is, because eventually you're going to pay it off. It's an asset to you. You're not having to worry about rents rising or, whatever. Like having a house in your financial portfolio is something that we want for you. But at the same time, people believe and really do, oh my gosh, if I could just have a house, if I was just a homeowner, life would be better. Life would be okay. And it's another just thing, you guys. Again, a very smart financial move if you're in the position for it. But it doesn't contribute to your happiness and your contentment. And if anything, what this article is showing is half of Americans are stretched when it comes to this. And so it has become this thing of like, oh my gosh, we felt like we had to get in and we got in. And especially if you bought, in 2021, 22, when everything like this, at least it's kind of corrected itself to a degree. It's still higher, but it's not like it's going, bids aren't crazy over asking price like they were back, 2 years ago. But I think people fell into kind of the hysteria of it to a degree of like, oh my gosh, I got to get a house. I got to get a house. I got to get a house.
100%. And I feel like where we're sitting, we're playing both sides of the fence on, okay, we're on one hand telling people, listen, if you have to rent for a little bit longer, it's okay. There's no stigma in renting so that you can get into a place and have peace about it. And if you do have the money, we know that interest rates are super high. And I think you and I were talking, doing a real estate thing. And 6, 7, even 8% for, interest rate. We've seen that before, but because houses are just so expensive attached to it, that's really, so it's like, we've seen these interest rates before, but not at this price point. And so people are feeling that. And there's people who have the money and they're afraid to pull the trigger because they're like, do I get in with these when these interest rates are so high? And so both sides of that can be true. If you can't afford, we want you to go do it. If you're not ready, we want you to rent for a while. And so that's how this is. And so I think, Rachel, let's give them some input on if you're feeling tight in the mortgage that you're in, what are some things that they can do? Yeah. And if you're ready to buy, how do you know that you're ready to buy? So let's kind of tee that up. So I would say if you're ready to buy, of course, here we teach that we don't want the payment to be any more than 25% of your take-home pay. I think a lot of you know that. I know for me, I kind of came up with an acronym to be prepared for this because the first time Sam and I purchased a house, it's new and there's costs that you don't know about. And it's like, okay, we have our 3 to 6 months of expenses. We have our down payment, but then sometimes other things pop up and you're like, oh, I didn't know that. And so, the down payment, we always say if you're a first time buyer, 5 to 20%. And if you can do more, do more. Be prepared for earnest money, especially if you're selling a house to get into another house. Earnest money is money you put up front. So if you haven't cleared on the other house, you need that money. Then things like closing costs, inspections, appraisals, all of these things are coming out of your pocket and you want to be prepared for that. And so that's how you know. Yeah.
And I think there's a reality to you guys. If you just have too much house, if it's 50% of your income, it's going to be hard to do much of anything, whether, investing or paying down debt. So again, looking at the whole picture, I think is really important, but be in a position, if you are ready to buy, that you feel good about it. This is The Ramsey Show.
You've been gazelle intense, you've eaten more beans and rice than you knew existed, and now you're ready to make your biggest investment better. Blinds.com is a great way to dress up a room or your entire home. Whether you're comfortable with do-it-yourself projects or you don't even know what a Phillips head screwdriver is, well, trust Blinds.com to take care of you like Ramsey would. You can do the measuring and installation yourself, or you can let Blinds.com's professionals handle everything for you. Blinds.com offers a completely hassle-free experience. Count on them to deliver stylish window treatments from premium brands without the premium markup. You'll never have to deal with pushy salespeople in your home just to get a quote. But you can count on free shipping, free samples, and a 100% satisfaction guarantee so that you can rest easy. That's why we've recommended Blinds.com for over 10 years. Shop Blinds.com right now and get up to 45% off. That's Blinds.com. Rules and restrictions may apply.
Well, back in 2020, actually March of 2020, April of 2020.
The worst.
We were about to embark on a Ramsey Live Like No One Else cruise. And right around that time, when we were supposed to get onto a cruise ship, 2020 happened and the pandemic started to creep up. And I remember thinking, who's going to tell Dave that we are not getting on this cruise ship? Like, there is no way that we're, but man, up until the last minute, and finally everything canceled. The ports were closed, everything shut down. So the cruise was officially canceled. And we have heard about it since then from people pretty continuously, and especially those that visit Ramsey Solutions are like, oh, we are signed up for the cruise. Are you going to bring it back? Are you going to bring it back? Well, the answer is yes, we are. The Live Like No One Else cruise is back. So you can join myself, Jade Warshaw, Dave Ramsey, Dr. John Deloney, Ken Coleman, George Camel, and some other special guests like Stephen Curtis Chapman, Deanna Carter, some famous chefs. Like we have a boatload, you could say, of some fun, entertaining people that are going to be on this cruise ship. So we're taking over the entire cruise ship, and it's stopping at Turks and Caicos, St. Thomas, San Juan, the Bahamas. It's going to be a fun week.
7 whole days.
7 whole days. We will be on this ship. It's a beautiful ship, actually. Really, really beautiful. And here's the thing. VIP upgrades, they're already sold out. Most of the suites are almost sold out, but there are a few cabins remaining. So if you want to make sure to check it out, if you want one like with an ocean view and all of that, you need to put your deposit down soon because it's actually outselling the one in 2020. It's selling faster than that one did. So this one, what do you call it, Jade? Take sale?
Yeah.
Set sail. Yeah, March 22nd through the 29th.
Okay.
So here in about 9 months. And again, these are for people that are on baby steps 4, 5, 6, or 7. So if you're getting out of debt, pause. We may do another one. If you're building up that emergency, pause. Don't come on the ship. Continue down your financial plan. Or I should say, don't pause your plan. Keep going. But for those of you that have lived like no one else, we are here to celebrate you. So go to RamseySolutions.com/cruise to check it out and sign up and come hang out for a week with us as we celebrate you guys. All right, up next, we have Nicole in St. Louis. Hi, Nicole. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. So I have a unique situation. I'm getting an insurance payout of approximately somewhere around $40,000 in about a month. And then I will have the opportunity to get a payout of estimated around $60,000 next year from a victim's fund.
What happened, Nicole?
My son was killed in an accident last March.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Oh, how old was he?
He was 18 years, 8 months, and 4 days.
I'm so sorry.
Oh, I'm so sorry, Nicole.
it's been very rough, and I've not been able to return to work full time.
Mm-hmm.
So that kind of plays into my equation too, because obviously I've just been trying to survive, but I'm worried about like my 401k. I just recently started making contributions to it again, but I'm only working part-time. So I don't know like what the best use of that money is. I want to be smart and honor my son in my choices.
For sure. Absolutely. Are you working part-time, are you still able to keep everything afloat with, a rent or a mortgage or food, bills, all of that? Have you gotten behind on anything?
No, I'm not behind on anything. I actually have a very decent hourly rate. I work in the human resources world, and so I'm specialized in one aspect of that, and so I make a decent amount even though I'm only part-time.
Okay. And do you have any other kids that you're supporting?
I have an older daughter. I'm not supporting her, but I'd like to factor her into the equation also.
Okay. Oh, man, Nicole, I'm so sorry. Do you have any debt right now?
I have about $12,000 in credit card debt, and I have a mortgage I've got about $128,000
on it. Okay. Do you have any money saved?
I only have like a couple $1,000s saved. I went through a lot of savings.
Okay. And what can I ask caused the $12,000 of credit card debt? What was that on?
Some of it was grief, honestly. Some of it was to pay for final expenses.
Mm-hmm.
But the majority of it that's still left is just poor spending, looking for something to occupy my mind.
Yeah, sure. Which is understandable.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so sorry.
Are you in grief counseling? Are you working through that?
I am. I have an amazing counselor.
Good.
So I'm so appreciative of that, but it's just a lifelong wound that I have to figure out how to live with.
So Rachel and I could give you some thoughts. I mean, obviously we would say, okay, yeah, let's clear out this debt. Let's, make sure you've got a good footing and, you've got 3 to 6 months of expenses. But what do you think? You said you want to do something that honors your son. What do you think that might be?
I started a nonprofit in his name, and I've been contributing to that. So part of me was thinking of putting some resources into that. And the other part was just providing for my daughter. She's a college graduate. She works in the medical field. So she's, she is making her own way. But, I mean, if that was her only sibling.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. For this, Nicole, I think it would feel right to say this amount of money. We always say to do with three, money can do three things. You can give it, you can save it, you can spend it. And I think that would be a beautiful, way to kind of divvy up this, if that's what you want to do. I think it would be honoring to him, to pay off this credit card debt. I really do. I don't think that doesn't feel off to me. That feels like a really wise way to set yourself up and continuing your healing. I could see you saving some on the side for your daughter. Maybe she may not need it, and I don't want you to do it out of a guilt or a pity necessarily, but maybe you kind of keep some on the side that if something comes up in the future, you're able to bless her in that, whatever that looks like for her, and then give some of it to that nonprofit that you started. I think that divvying it up 3 ways feels right in this. And then I would have a plan too for the $60,000 for next year, just to know ahead of time what you're going to do, kind of like a budget that we know, before the month begins, if you will, of where your money's going to go. And I would do that same with the 60, and maybe it looks different. That's 60. Maybe, a year from now you could say, okay, this amount of money feels right to, maybe again, save some for your daughter if you want to do that. Maybe put some at the house if you want to do that. I mean, whatever feels right to you in that moment. But I think staying within those guidelines is a way to, I think, to honor your son.
I agree.
I do like that a lot. Well, if I pay my credit cards off, should I put that money towards my house payment as an additional like principal payment? Or
yes, if you had, if there was more that you were divvying in that category, then yes. Yeah, if there was more there, put it towards the principal. Yep. And maybe you just do all that now with the 40, and then maybe when you get the 60, that's when you say, I'll give some of this to charity to get yourself. I think there's something to, Nicole, about, having that solid financial foundation under you that maybe can give a level of clear-headedness too when you get this next sum of money. Right. So maybe, using some of this for your benefit to set you up well is beautiful. But I know both of us sitting here as moms, we can't even imagine.
Goes out to you.
Yep, I know. You're doing a fantastic job, Nicole. Thanks for calling.
I've been doing this show for over 30 years, and some of the saddest calls I've taken are from situations that are completely preventable.
Yeah, and what's so hard is I feel like one of those, especially the ones that I'm like, oh, it's terrible, are people that call in and their spouse has passed away suddenly and they don't have life insurance. We actually took a question of a lady, and she had 3 kids, pregnant, and husband didn't have life insurance. And I'm like, I can't even imagine. Or even if it was opposite, right? If a mom passed away, there's a dad with kids and trying to figure out, how am I going to afford childcare? How do I outsource some stuff that maybe she was doing? And it just takes the grief and the sadness of something like a sudden death to a whole new level. Like when you have to think through, how am I going to pay my bills?
How am I going to eat next week?
Yeah, in the middle of all that grief. Like it's terrible. And so life insurance is the one thing, especially as a mom with 3 little kids, that I'm like so big on for people to get because it's inexpensive. Xander is the place that Winston and I actually get all of our life insurance. And we keep re-upping it because I'm like, I just want it there. Like there's something about that safety of knowing that you have money if something suddenly happens.
And it doesn't cost much because Xander shops among a gazillion different companies. It doesn't cost much. You just have to admit that someday you're not going to be here. You got to say it out loud, and you got to say, I'm going to say I love you to my family by taking care of them and taking the time to put this stuff in place. The cost of stinking pizza.
There really is. So that is one thing to do, to say I love you to your family.
So we've used Xander for all of our family's needs for insurance for many years, including, of course, term life insurance. To get a free quote, go to 800-356-4282. That's 800-356-4282, or go to Xander.com.
Welcome back to The Ramsey Show. We're taking your calls at 888-825-5225, so give us a call. Up next, we have Chris in Roanoke. Hey, Chris, welcome to the show.
Hey, y'all. How are you doing today?
We're doing great. How can we help?
So I had a question after reading a little bit from Breaking Free from Broke. Mm-hmm. In the investing section, it said that we should avoid index funds and instead go for mutual funds. But I know mutual funds have more fees, and sometimes they don't beat the index. There's a lot of them out there that don't. So I was wondering if there was a situation where you would choose an index fund over a mutual fund.
Yeah, I didn't know George's words were that.
I'm not sure. Well, I can't say yay or nay to that. There are times where we would say choose mutual funds, like when you're investing for your retirement. We just know that over time, because they're actively managed, they're switching out those funds in an attempt to beat the index, right? And so, of course, we want you to have the best rate of return. And you're right. There are a lot out there that don't hold up their end of the bargain, but there are a lot that do. And I know I'm invested in some, and Rachel, you are too.
Yeah, for sure.
So that's why we would say that now, to your point, index funds are not bad. They're passively managed. And the whole point is they follow whatever index it is. So if it's S&P 500 or if it's Dow Industrial, whatever it is, there's different ones that they follow. And so that is a little bit of if you're, let's say you were saving for a down payment for a house and you're like, listen, I'm not going to buy for another 7 or 8 years. I'm just going to park this money here. You could do that, and you could kind of know, here's the return that I'm going to get. It's kind of like just a place that I'm parking this money in a brokerage account. There's nothing wrong with that, but that wouldn't be necessarily my long-term investment strategy. To just park in index funds, because if you invest the way that we say over those 4 different areas, growth, aggressive growth, international, all of those, then you're going to get that 4 times mix of a better rate of return. And so that's kind of the thinking there.
Yeah. And again, I think more so for the long-term approach, especially when you're thinking about retirements, mutual funds it is a great place to park your money when you're doing all of that, because it is spreading it out so much. But again, like Jade said, and for a short term, we know people, a Vanguard account, and they put some money in, but I think you want to be careful with what you're doing, because a lot with index funds, you're doing it yourself.
That's
and
right.
I think there is something to be said. If you don't know it well enough and you're not diversified well enough, that's where, some red flags can be raised. But yeah, I wouldn't say it's that we're completely against it by any means.
Yeah, really, honestly, if you're investing and you're not investing in single stocks, in many ways, I'm just happy that you're doing the muscle of investing. But to Rachel's point, I think we're in the era of TikTok and Instagram, do it yourself. And there's some validity to that. But if you really want the best rate of return, you're working with a professional and you're choosing really great mutual funds.
Okay. I guess my question was more because I don't have a lot of margin, and I guess I'm technically in step 7, but I don't own property, so that's kind of what I'm working for in the long term. So is there a situation? So would that be one of those situations where you might go index funds?
I mean, how close are you for a down payment on a house? How many years do you think?
At my current pay rate, which I'm hoping to improve, it might be 10 to 15
years until you have a down payment.
Yeah, I don't have a lot of margin each month. So
what do you make a year?
I make about $37K.
Okay, how old are you?
I'm 25.
Okay. And what's the market like in Roanoke? Because for first-time home buyers, we're saying 5 to 20% down.
I haven't really looked around that much because I've got Ken Coleman's book at home. I'm trying to get my income up right now, and I just got out of baby step 3. So
yeah, that's great.
I figured thinking 10 to 15 years down the road might work out best for me.
Okay. I would probably say to be a little bit more aggressive. I think when you get your income up, and depending on, which part of the country you're looking at, a 5% down is great. And I would get into the market as soon as possible with that, with the parameters that it's no more than 25% of your take-home pay and all of that. But I would want to get in more aggressively, Chris, especially if you're going to be somewhere long-term, because the faster you can get in, again, reasonably and responsibly, the better off that you're going to be. And in that case, you could look into an index fund, so, Vanguard or something like that, or even just high yield savings. But again, that would be, if you're saying 10 to 15 years and you're being for real about that, which again, I'm going to challenge you on it. Then a mutual fund or index fund, any of those would be fine. But if you do it sooner, which I would hope that you did.
Well, that's assuming that your income doesn't change, and it is going to change. You're 25, your income is going to go up. You've got the right resources. You're already digging into Ken Coleman's material. So I can tell you your income is going to go up. And I don't know if you have debt or not, but you knock that debt out, that clears up more margin. And so there are definitely things to make that go faster for you, picking up a side hustle. There's a lot that you can do there. So the 10 to 15 window, I'm with Rachel. I challenge that, but that's just our opinion.
Yeah, that's great. Thanks, Chris. Up next, we have Court in Lubbock, Texas. Hey, Court. Welcome to the show.
Hey, how are y'all?
Doing great. How can we help?
So I have a question, and I'm sure you'll get some people ask this, but what are y'all's thoughts on vacation homes? That's kind of what we're thinking about next.
Yeah, I think it's a great goal.
We've owned a couple of, rentals, and they I mean, we kind of made money when we sold. We don't technically make money, because the insurance now it's going crazy. Every time we go to Florida, they're like, I talk to owners that live there, and they're talking about how they're making double their mortgage or triple. I know that's subjective, but it just seems like a lot more than what you would expect from the tenant landlord type situation.
Yeah, vacation rentals are the most volatile. So when when times are good, is real good, and when times are bad, they're real bad. Yeah. So no, I mean, I think it's the same rule with any investment property, regardless if it's vacation or just down the road. It would be paying cash for it, so that volatility isn't there.
Golly. Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Because here's the thing, Court. I'm like, yes. Again, when times are good, and are people doing this? Yes, they are. But you look back, and I'm like, I don't know if I'm just cursed from 2007, 2008, and everything. I'm like, they were giving houses away, and people were getting foreclosed on left and right.
Then, so.
Do what?
Yeah. I said I was still in middle school then.
Okay,
I don't really remember the terror from that.
Yes. So, I mean,
I'll remember for you.
Because those are the first places that, that people stop when the economy turns. And again, we pray that never happens. But again, you're putting it's a risky business. And again, when it does well, yes, I agree. There's places in Florida for sure. You're renting out probably double the mortgage. But you're being a long distance landlord. You're going to pay management. And
sure.
And again, I think it sounds romantic to say, oh my gosh, we have a beach house in Florida. And then when you go in and there's been 8 other families that have slept in your bed, it changes the mindset a little bit too. So I'm just
trying to think of another income where I don't need extra income, but I need to figure out where to put this.
Yeah, do you have how much money do you have?
I probably between everything, $300-400.
Liquid or an investment?
Yeah. Oh,
liquid.
Yeah, all liquid. Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe, so I would look for a spot. I mean, if you want the vacation side of it, look for somewhere, look remote. Don't go to the hot spots because you're going to pay 4 times that.
They're
look
like
outside.
$1 to $3 million just for the starters.
Yeah. So, or what you could do, Court, if you want to get into real estate in Lubbock, go buy,
We've owned a few houses there. We just didn't really make money until we sold. So right now we're living in a super nice lease. We're in a 5-year lease right now because I'm so scared to buy a house.
You're leasing a house?
I don't know why. I just am. We are.
But you feel okay going and buying a house in Florida?
I do, just because we've talked about it for 4 years. We go 4 times. I'm leaving tomorrow to go, and I'm talking to another.
But you're living in your house 350 days a year.
I know. You are right. So that's the deal where it's like I run a business. We have 6 locations, so I kind of travel everywhere.
Okay. I hear you. Well, what I would say, Court, is I think for you and your family, owning your main property is going to be key long term to have equity, and that you don't have to worry about a house payment later down the road because you're going to have everything paid off. It'll be self-insured. It'll be great. And then from there, let's look at investment properties, paying cash for them, local, so that you can keep an eye on them. I think is where I would start. But I appreciate the enthusiasm and all of it, because one day you could own a house in Florida and pay for it. So that could be a great goal.
That's right.
Thanks for calling in. Thank you, America. This is The Ramsey Show.
Brought to you by the EveryDollar app. Start budgeting for free today.
Live from the headquarters of Ramsey Solutions, it's The Ramsey Show, where we help people build wealth, do work that they love, and create amazing relationships. I am Rachel Cruze, hosting this hour and taking your calls at 888-825-5225. We'll be taking your calls on life, money, relationships, career. So give us a call again at 888-825-5225. Up first, I should say, we have Carrie in Buffalo. Hi, Carrie. Is it Carrie or Kari?
It's Carrie.
Carrie, welcome to the show.
Yeah. Well, thank you for taking my call. So I was divorced 2 years ago. I'm a single mom. I'm almost 49, so I'm working as a medical receptionist right now, and I do have a side hustle as an artist as well, where I sell my art. And I'm just really having a really hard time financially right now. Like I've kind of spiraled since my divorce with just keeping up, and I have about $20,000 in credit debt right now, plus a car loan. And my living situation is, so I own the home. I have a family member that is our mortgage lender, though. So we filed an official mortgage to the state. So he's kind of put my payments on hold because he knows my situation is crazy, which is not ideal right now. But
so your mortgage is on hold right now?
Yes.
Okay.
But I can't keep up with my bills. My minimums are so high now because I have, some of my minimums are like $400 on my cards, and then I have the house bills and my son, and I'm just wondering, do I file bankruptcy? Like, what do I do?
So no, I would not say you're bankrupt right now. No, these numbers aren't impossible. Okay. So how much are you making a year?
I mean, I've only had this job for a few months. I was working on my own since my husband moved out, doing the art-based business, which was doing okay. I was paying my bills, but then I was spiraling, and it just hasn't been great with the economy. People aren't buying as much.
Right.
So I'm only working 3.5, 4 days a week right now, and I need to get more hours.
Okay.
I'm probably going to look for a full-time job within the next, few weeks. I just want to wait till my son, I just have to figure out what I'm going to do with my kid. It's really tough.
For sure. How old's your son?
I have to get him off in the morning. Yeah, I have to get him off to school every morning, which they've been really flexible with.
Yeah.
So it's tough because my parents are up in age, and I don't want to use them anymore.
No, for sure, for sure.
On the bus every morning.
So I think what we're gonna need is just this plan, because I can hear you're spiraling. You have a lot of things going on, right? I'm like, you're a single mom, and when you guys were married, did he do most of the finances?
He did, and then he ran into some issues with his mental health and some other issues, and he kind of lost his whole career and his sanity. So I don't receive any child support or alimony. I kind of just wanted him to leave the home, so I took on the marital debt, which grew a little after he left because it was only my income for so long. And it's just I'm just at a wall now where my cards are maxed. I can't make the minimums. What do I do? I'm also back on my property taxes this year because they're not escrowed in my mortgage because of the private lending situation. I have to save and pay those every year, and I didn't have the money this year, so I'm just going to have to keep making payments throughout the year.
Yeah.
It's just really, I'm just backed up against the wall. And I'm like, what do I talked to a few attorneys about bankruptcy, and they recommended against it because they're like, you could lose your house.
Yes. Well, yeah, because they're going to come and take all of your assets before. And so we want to be able to keep your, So here's the thing, Carrie, I think for you to feel stable, I think getting your income up is number one. Okay. And you're just starting this new business, right? You were in an industry, art, and selling the art, which is great and wonderful. But after a while, it was not paying the bills. So now I think you're facing that reality. So the upside here is that there's a lot of upside to your income, right? You can find, I would find a full-time 40-hour week job. And then I want your first priority to be your four walls, which is food, shelter, utilities, and transportation, because this mortgage is not going to go on hold forever. So I do want you to get in a position to know if you're going to be able to keep this house. Because how much would the mortgage payment be a month if you were paying it?
With the taxes, it's about $1,300. So the house, I owe about $160 on the house.
Okay. If you, so if you can paint out a picture yearly, if you were here a year from now, if you had to guess, how much do you think between still selling some art, if you're doing that at all, but also a full-time job, how much do you think you could bring in?
I don't know. I mean, the job I'm working at now is only $18 an hour. It's not much at all.
Okay.
So, and most of the positions I've been looking at, they're $20 an hour. So I would also contemplate, would you recommend getting, going back to school at night to get my bachelor's because I already have an associate?
No. I don't think education's the problem here. I think it is income. And I think you're going to be, I think you'll be able to get it up. But honestly, Carrie, I think getting these four walls covered, making sure food, before credit cards and all of that are paid, that you and your son are taken care of on the basic level. And food, shelter, utilities, transportation, you have gas in your car. Do you have a car payment?
Yes, I do. I had to get a new car last year. I had a 15-year-old car that finally
Okay, Carrie, how much is your car loan
that
total?
That car payment is $365. I think I owe $18 on it. So.
$18,000. Okay, if you sold it today, how much could you get for it, do you think?
I think it's just about even because I did check the other day.
Okay. And no money saved.
It's not.
So probably
I have nothing. I'm like living minute to minute.
Yeah, I hear you. Okay, so you have the $18,000 car payment. You have about $20,000. Was that what you said in student loans? I'm sorry, in credit cards. Credit cards. And is that it?
20,000.
And that's it, correct?
Yes, and then the house.
Okay, and you have no money saved.
None
savings. Okay. So your first goal, what I would do is to get $1,000 ASAP. And again, making sure that your other bills are covered: food, shelter, utilities, transportation. This is before credit cards and everything. Okay. And then I would look at selling your car, Carrie. I really would. And maybe you take out a small $5,000 loan to go get a $5,000 car. But I would rather you have $5,000 in debt than $18,000 with this car. Okay.
Okay.
And I think that's going to start to give you some level of footing here, because I need you to get some quick wins as well. And if you stay on the line, Skylar's going to pick up, and we're going to get you connected with a coach, because as a single mom, I mean, I can feel it. I can feel it on you. It's like there's so many decisions that you have to make. But again, I think having some sort of game plan is going to be really, really important. And the budget's going to help with that too. And so I'm going to give you EveryDollar Premium, and this will be our budgeting app that's going to walk through how to do a zero-based budget. And that's something that's going to help you to be able to say, hey, here's where my money's coming in, and I have a plan for it. But again, I think getting rid of this car and getting another car, that's going to free up that payment. And that's going to feel so much better. It really will. And then cut up the credit cards and start paying these off one at a time. So out of the credit cards, how many are there?
There's 4.
4, okay. I want you to list those off, smallest to largest, okay? So after you get your $1,000, your next goal is to pay off that smallest credit card, okay?
Okay.
And so we're going to get you with a financial coach, though, because I know that there's just so many elements of this story. And this, I do not think you're bankrupt, though, Carrie. I really think if you get your income up and you get a level of stability and consistency with these bills, you get this car out, so you're not dealing with that debt over your head, and you work on getting out of this credit card debt, I mean, you really are going to get some quick wins. And I think that's going to give you a level of confidence too, Carrie. So stay on the line. Skylar will pick up. But I'm so sorry. I hope that gives you some level of direction and ideas to get this started, because I do see hope for you. This is The Ramsey Show. Welcome back to The Ramsey Show. I am Rachel Cruze, taking your calls at this hour at 888-825-5225. And just as we came up on the air on YouTube, my new book, my kids' book, I'm Glad for Where I Am, is out. So you can go to RamseySolutions.com/store or RachelCruze.com and check that out. We did a little book tour here a few weeks ago and got to travel around and meet so many of you guys at these signings and sign some books out with the great people out in the lobby, which reminds me, if you are in Nashville's such a great place to visit. Come check us out. We're in a sweet little town, Franklin, just south of Nashville. And so we do this show every day live from 1 to 4 with different personalities. And we, do it here on the glass. So you can come get some coffee and cookies and hang out with us. And it's always fun to meet people from all over. So we're so glad to have you guys here today. And so come and join us. Also, if you are looking to really get control of your money, you guys, one of the best ways to do that is to budget. And budgeting is one of those things that can be really intimidating at first, and it's kind of overwhelming, but it's one of the keys to winning with money. It really is, to be intentional. I am a self-proclaimed spender and a free spirit, not great when it comes to the details always of life. But I enjoy spending, and and I want to have freedom in that. And for me, a budget was probably one of the hardest things to grasp onto financially when it comes to all of this stuff. And so I have found, though, as a spender and as a free spirit, that it gives me such freedom and such permission to spend money. And you do it on purpose with a plan. And it's more enjoyable when you know where your money's going and what's going on. And so if you've not checked out EveryDollar, this is our budgeting app. You can go to everydollar.com/Rachel and create your first budget for free. And this is a tool that we designed to really help you. And again, it's one of those things that when you want to tell your money what to do, it's going to go so much further. It relieves so much stress and so many questions out there with money that you actually have a plan. And EveryDollar Premium is awesome. If you upgrade to that, it connects to your bank account. And so all of your transactions will come in and you can drag and drop them in the app. It takes like less than a minute a day. And it just keeps a pulse on what's going on with your money. It is so, so key and it's awesome. So again, you can go to EveryDollar. You can download the app for free in the App Store or Google Play, or go to everydollar.com/Rachel. All right, let's hit the phones and we'll go to Jeremiah in Houston. Hey, Jeremiah, welcome to the show.
Hey, how you doing?
Doing great. How can I help?
Well, my wife found this show, and she's been kind of aggressive about implementing some of this stuff, to say the least. And I just don't.
Jeremiah, let me just say, Jeremiah, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Sometimes we are used as a weapon in people's homes. We're a cuss word sometimes. So I'm probably more on your team, Jeremiah. Just know that. So I'm here for you.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, here's the thing. We're actually we're pretty good financially, but so I'll get straight to it. Her car is financed. The only debt we have is her car in the house. Her car is financed, but it's at 0%, and we only owe about 2 years on it, and she wants to just start paying it off. And I don't understand that because, like, I saved the money, we have a pretty small budget compared to our income, and I save pretty well, and what we save is earning pretty good interest right now, and she's wanting to pull, like, money out of savings that's earning money to pay this car off early. And I can't understand that. And then she wants to start paying the house off, and the house is financed at 2.25%. So,
this crazy woman, who's she been listening to? This is madness, Jeremiah. This is madness. Oh, man. Okay. Well, this is so funny because number one, I love her enthusiasm because I think some people, personality-wise, when they get this taste of like, oh my gosh, I could have no payments. Like, I don't have to owe anyone anything. It is so empowering. It's emboldening, right? It's this idea of, oh my gosh, we have the money, we can pay this off. It's so great. And then for other people, more of the math nerds, Jeremiah, I'm going to put you in this category. You're crunching numbers, right? You're crunching numbers and you're like, oh my gosh, percentage wise, I'm going to make more over here. Why would I do that? Why would I pay off a 2% interest rate on a house when I could be making 10% in the market? Like, that's just crazy. And so mathematically, I hear you. I really do. Mathematically, it makes sense. But here's the deal with money, Jeremiah. It's about 20% head knowledge. It's about 80% behavior. So much of money is wrapped up not just in the percentage, the APR and the rates of return, but it is so much in who we are as people and the emotional side, and actually looking to see, okay, what would it feel like, number one, to be completely debt free and don't owe anyone anything, and then we can have some fun on the math side and said, what if we take those payments that was on the car and then just go crazy for a second in the mortgage. And what if that was freed up and we actually went back and invested that and made a rate of return? And so there's it's a different way of looking at it, this money stuff, but there is something about not owing anyone anything that gives you so many options, so much freedom, so much peace of mind. And I feel like that's what your wife is starting to feel, would you say?
Yeah, she is. It's what the problem is, though, is like I planned on doing this again. Like as soon as her car was paid off, my car is 12 years old. It's getting there, and as soon as hers was paid off, I was looking at shopping around and looking for something that was 0% and doing this again instead of just pulling $60,000 out of savings to pay cash for something.
How much do you guys have saved? How much is liquid right now that you could get to?
Liquid, about probably 60,000.
Okay. And how much is left? How much is left on her car?
10,000.
Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, in that sense, what you have to realize too about the zero interest and cars is, number one, usually it's inventory that they're trying to get rid of, and you're financing with 0% interest most of the time through the manufacturer. You're not using a bank or a credit union. And so a lot of the terms on the loan can be, it's really up to them. There's not much like negotiating or actually like looking at it. And so what we have found is there's actually some risk in it, because for some, they actually have these fees and penalties that if you miss a payment, they actually will go all the way back and back charge you interest. You'll have penalties, you'll have fees, and it ends up being this like too good to be true thing. And that's why a lot of people end up falling for the 0%, as they think, oh my gosh, what a kind manufacturer to do this. But what they don't realize is they almost get screwed in the process if they just make one mistake. So the 0%, while some people feel like it's a great deal, there's still risk involved there, Jeremiah. So I think for you guys, what I want to do, I'm going to gift you guys Financial Peace University, and I want you to watch it together. I think your wife will be so excited. Jeremiah, you'll have a great weekend. Let me just tell you, if you just say, babe, instead of Netflix, let's watch these lessons. She'll love it. But really, these are 9 lessons. And again, you could just get through 3 of them this weekend if you want. But we really do map out, and it's not just an argument for argument's sake of like, oh, get on our side and be debt free. But there's reason for it, Jeremiah, not just from an emotional standpoint like we talked about, but there is a financial benefit that instead of supporting Ford Motor Company, you're supporting yourself. You're putting money back. You're using your income, which is your largest wealth building tool, for you and your family versus paying for everybody else. And so we've just found this weird way of thinking. It frees a lot of people in so many ways.
Okay. Sounds like fun. Can't wait.
Listen, your wife's going to love me after that suggestion. She's going to be like, thank you, Rachel.
She listens to this every day, too, so I'm sure she's going to hear this, and now there's no way out of it.
So funny. Well, you know what I do appreciate about you, though, because we get a lot of spouses. Usually it's your wife calling the show and saying, my husband refuses to do any of this. I don't know how we're going to get on the same page. And you're stepping out in good faith, right? And extending a little bit of an olive branch to say, hey, I kind of want to learn this. Like I'm curious, right? And so keep that curiosity open, Jeremiah. Let me just say that as some encouragement, because I can tell you, this isn't really just theory and our opinion on stuff. I mean, millions of people have done this. They've gotten on this plan. They've gotten in control of the money. And for the first time, they're actually seeing their money work for them. And that's what I want for you guys. Thanks for the call. Welcome back to the Ramsey Show. I'm Rachel Cruze, hosting this hour and taking your calls. Up next, we have Dylan in Portland. Hey, Dylan. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Rachel. How are you doing?
Doing great. How can I help?
So my wife and I are expecting a kid soon in September.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Is it the first?
And we're kind of wondering... Sorry, say again?
Is it the first?
It is our first, yes.
Baby number 1. That's great. Well, congratulations.
Thank you. So right now we both work, and we're kind of trying to figure out how we're going to afford to save for a home after she stops working.
Yeah. Okay, so where are you guys at financially right now? Like debt, savings, where are you?
We're really well off. We have probably 120 in savings. And then we have about 40,000 in debt. We bought a new car recently, so that's financed at 20,000, and then I have 20,000 in student loans. And I have the ability to pay those off, but then that would take away from my savings and like possible home down payment in the future. And then we're really good off. Yeah.
How much do you guys make a year?
Right now we make like 160, but after the baby comes, we'll be making, just me will be working. I'll be making 90.
90,000. Okay. And have the homes you've been looking at, what are the price ranges right now?
A standard home is really a lot of money. So right now we have a home already.
Oh, okay.
But, we're looking for like a bigger one in like a single family home because I own like a condo now. And they're in like the $500,000 to $600,000 range.
Okay. How much is your condo worth now?
$370.
And how much do you guys owe on it?
$300.
$300. Okay. Yeah, I mean, here's the hard thing about money sometimes, Dylan, is the math. It doesn't have emotion. You know, it is what it is. And so when you cut your income in half, which I'm not disagreeing with you in that life decision by any means, it's going to limit your choices. It's going to slow down your financial goals, right? And so I think one of the best things that you can do, we always say it's kind of stork mode right now while you are pregnant, while you guys are pregnant, have the baby. And once mom's home and good, baby's home and is good, then I would press play on this process. And what I would do is just walk you down the baby steps. And so you guys you're in a really great position in a way because you have so much money saved. And that 120, is that all liquid? Like you guys can get to that? That's not retirement?
Yeah, that's all liquid.
Okay. So, I mean, if I were you guys, after baby comes in September, I would continue to save. Because how much are you guys saving a month, would you say, in margin-wise in your budget?
Yeah, we could probably save like easily $2,000.
Okay. Yeah.
$2,500.
Okay, that's great. So I mean, I would continue to do that savings mentality, keep putting money away, and then once baby's here, good, everyone's good. I would take 40,000 of that 120. That'll leave you with 80 grand left. But I would go ahead and pay off the car. I would pay off the student loan. And the car, I mean, you guys are going down to 90K, and we always say not to have anything with motors and wheels more than 50% of your annual income. So by you guys cutting your income in half, this may be too much car. When did you guys
bought it?
Okay.
It's a $30,000 car, and we put 10 down, and we just bought it.
So you could sell it for 40?
No, it's worth 30.
It's worth 30, but you owe 40 on it?
No. So we bought it for
20,000. I'm sorry. I was looking at the wrong number on my notes. I'm so sorry. Yeah. I hear you.
Put 10 down. Yeah. Finance 20.
Okay. Because I mean, right now with her not working or you guys going down, there's a chance that this is too much. But I mean, you would be able to pay it off because you have the cash. So I would say keep the car. But I would pay it off. I would pay the car off, the $20,000 and the student loans. Once the baby comes, I would be debt free. I would build up an emergency fund of probably 6 months worth since you have a new baby. And so I would do your monthly budget and just say, okay, what our expenses are per month. And I would do times 5, times 6, 5 to 6 months worth, and put that just in a good high yield savings account and then see what's left. Because out of that 80 grand, how much do you think you guys would need for an emergency fund?
Probably we could put like 20 or 25 away.
Would feel good. Okay. For that. So that leaves you 60 grand. And then by that point, that's when I would start thinking about the house then. And, yeah, I mean, it is just it's so expensive. And your interest rate right now is what, at 2%, 3%?
Yeah.
With the condo?
Yeah, I have a 2%. Yeah.
And I mean, I'm just curious, is it a 2-bedroom? What's the scenario?
It is a 2-bedroom. Yeah. So it's a 2-bedroom, but we're looking to have like 2 to 3 more kids in the next couple of years. Mm-hmm. So that's why it's like planning now for like a larger home in the next couple of years. But again, houses are so expensive that it's really hard to afford a monthly payment on one income and to put enough down to where that monthly payment's so low.
What's your monthly payment on the condo right now?
$1,500.
Okay, that's great. Yeah, I mean, honestly, Dylan, if I were you guys, you're gonna have so much life change with this new baby, and considering where you guys are financially and cutting that income in half, I would slow walk this. I really would. I would continue to pay down on your mortgage on the condo, build in some equity that way, and then on the side be saving up for another good down payment, and then maybe look up. I mean, it's going to be a slower process than probably what you want. And I know you guys want more kids in the future and all of that, but that's going to be in 2-3 years, right down the road, when that starts to happen. So I almost would say to stay where you are, and then as your family continues to expand, then see where you guys are financially. But I would not be in a rush to get out of this. I think, again, being in the market is great, and you're at a great rate right now. And the whole thing is just the idea of wanting more room. But I don't know. I would just say you're not going to be in a financial position to do that. Would you agree?
Yeah, I think that's kind of what I'm trying to get over is like that was our long-term plan.
Yeah.
But it's really not going to be capable after we go down to one income.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to figure out still how to do it though, but I don't want to, put myself in a bad position.
No, you don't. And I think the piece at making a life decision like what you guys are doing for her to be home, it's kind of one of those trade-offs. And I think it's a beautiful trade-off, right? I think it's fantastic for your family. It's something that you guys value. And I think I applaud that. And so with that decision, other decisions are going to have to shift. And, and I think that that's okay. And, how old are you guys?
I'm 24 and she's 22.
Yes. Okay. Dylan, you're good. You're good. You got plenty of time. Let me just tell you, I would enjoy this time. Do not stress yourself out trying to think of, oh my gosh, we got to upgrade houses. And you end up making a poor decision and getting into a house that is over your head, with a monthly payment. You guys are in a really great spot right now. And I would just enjoy it. Enjoy your life. And this is where some of that contentment comes in of bigger isn't always better, right? I mean, if it starts to really, tighten up the budget and it really starts to stress you guys out, then that house, what could be, isn't worth it, right? It's not worth that peace of mind. Yeah. And so there is power in saying, gosh, we can just stay where we are, enjoy where we're at, but have a long-term plan, have a 4-year goal of having a certain amount of money saved, knowing that you're going to have some great equity in this condo, and then move up in home after that.
Yeah. Okay.
That's what I would say. Is your wife, how is she with all of this? Is she itching to move too?
Yeah, she's more worried about when we have our next kid, which would probably be in the next 2 years. Yeah. So she's perfectly fine and understandable that we won't have that much money, and she'll probably get a part-time job to help with that. But it's so much money, and the interest rate, of course, will probably go down, but the monthly is just absolutely insane. Yeah. So,
yeah, well, I would, I think for sure, I think you guys are in a great spot, seasonal life-wise. You are been really great financially. I would pay off this debt, get that out, have some breathing room, enjoy the baby, enjoy the condo, be where you guys are. And then when the next step comes, that's what you can plan for. So have a goal, have a 4-year goal out there. But I think it's great. You guys are doing an awesome job. Thanks for the call. Scripture of the day comes from Proverbs 21:5. The plans of the diligent lead surely to abundance, but everyone who is hasty comes only to poverty. I like that. The diligent prosper, right? Being consistent in all of this, but hastiness only leads to poverty. Franklin D. Roosevelt said, thank you, James, for this. In politics, nothing happens by accident. If it happens, you can bet it was planned that way. To a great conspiracy theorist, FDR, just really, we know how all this works, y'all. We know. Oh, so great. Okay, before we go to the calls, you can't see them in there unless y'all have the studio camera. But Austin Shelby, there he is behind James. Austin He has been a producer, you guys, here at Ramsey for multiple years. He actually worked on my show, The Rachel Cruze Show, when he very first started. And then he moved on to, he was at Entree Leadership, the Christy Wright Show, and Christy was here. And then has been here on the Ramsey Show, Behind the Glass. He will produce when James is out of town or gone. And this is his last day. And we're so tearful. So if you can just hear me choking up over here, the heart. But we're thankful for Austin. Always thankful for a great team. There's a lot of people behind the scenes that make this show happen. And they become part of the family. You get to know people in such a great way. And so, Austin, you will be missed. Thanks for all that you do. Last day, last segment of the show. Yes, thanks, Austin, and his Buc-ee's Hawaiian button-up shirts. God bless you. God bless you. All right, going to the phones. We have, is it Natia in Chicago? Hey, welcome to the show.
Hi, it's Annetta.
Oh, Annetta, I'm sorry, Annetta. You know what? They phonetically spelled it out, and I think I just completely busted that. I'm so sorry. I apologize.
Okay.
I hate when people mispronounce names, so forgive me. But thanks for calling. How can I help?
Yeah, so I'm kind of in a situation where I'll say, like, I'm asset rich, but cash poor. And I've reached a point in my life where I kind of don't know which way to take to get out of that.
Okay.
So I just discovered the Ramsey Show maybe about 6 months ago. And this was after I had kind of built all my wealth. And I did that. I served in the military for 12 years. So I would take all my bonuses and re-enlistment bonuses, put it in a brokerage account. I've invested in stocks that grew amazingly. Then I purchased 22 acres of land back in 2022 in New Mexico. And then New Mexico legalized cannabis, and the value of that shot up. So I've made a lot of good decisions.
Yeah.
But it's like when I looked at my monthly expenses, I was like, oh, this is why I'm feeling the squeeze, because we were doing a lot of like DoorDash, nails and toe spa, pedicures.
Yeah.
I have household staff, like a groundskeeper, a maid that comes, things like that. And then I do own a home. And so I'm like, I feel like I'm living paycheck to paycheck.
Okay, when you were talking about pedicures and manicures, you mean they come to you and you get them done and you have like a staff at the house. Is that what you were saying for you?
Well, I go and get manicures and pedicures.
Oh, okay.
I take my daughter.
I hear you. So you're saying you live great, but yet it's still paycheck to paycheck.
But it's still paycheck to paycheck.
Yeah.
And I was wondering what to do because I have this 22 acres of land sitting here that I really wanted to keep to pass to my children. But I'm wondering, should I just go ahead and sell that to pay off my house and minimize some of my expenses?
Yeah.
I'm just so torn about it.
For sure. No, I hear you. Yeah. I mean, I think regardless of the land, I would want you to get in a place where your income supports your lifestyle, right? And living below your means may mean that there's a level of your income, that where it's at, and that you possibly are living right at that cusp. And that is stressful, right? It is stressful. And so that may mean pulling back on some of the expenses so that you don't have to DoorDash and all of that, right? I mean, not that you can't enjoy life, but there may be a prioritization list going on that we can kind of walk through. But the 22 acres in New Mexico, what did you buy it for and what's it worth now?
So when I originally bought it, I did seller financing. So I put about $10,000 down, and then I paid it off, and it came out to a total about $30,000 in total, and it was unimproved land. And then since then, I've had it improved, had it sodded and leveled, and so that made the value of it go up. And I've had companies reach out to me to purchase it for cannabis, farming and things like that.
For how much?
So, oh gosh, I think I had one. The latest offer I got was like $100,000 for it.
Okay, yeah, that's great. So it's been 3 times what you bought it for. And did you buy?
Yes.
I'm just confused. 22 acres in New Mexico. Was that just because it was a great deal, or did you plan on moving there, or what was the?
Well,
How did you?
I was living there at the moment, and I was just kind of watching a lot of podcasts and stuff about real estate investing, and this is how you can get into it. And you could start with land, and I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. And so then I discovered seller financing, and I was able to buy it that way. And I
get into it, yeah.
I was able to get into it.
Okay, so you have $100,000, and it's paid for, correct?
Yeah, that's completely.
So you have $100,000 worth of land. How much are in your stocks and brokerage accounts that you could get out right now if you needed to? That's liquid.
The brokerage account is about $200,000. The 401k, I have like $50,000 in my 401k.
Okay.
My savings, I have like $5,000. There's not much there.
Yeah. Okay. Do you have any debt?
I do. So once I reached my status, I kind of got happy. Oh my God. So I went and purchased like a 2022 Mercedes-Benz.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, you did.
Yeah,
okay. So how much do you owe on that?
I just bought it maybe like a year ago. So I owe like $40,000 left on it.
Okay. How much is that car payment a month?
That is, I pay about $500 a month for that.
Okay. So you have that debt. What else?
Yeah. And then I don't have any credit card debt. I paid that off.
Okay.
My
student
son
loans?
has a car. I don't have any. I paid off my student loans.
Your friend has a car. Did you co-sign?
My son.
Your son. I'm sorry. I think it's your friend. Okay. And is that
I help him pay his car note?
How much does he owe on it?
I think he has like $10,000 left.
Is that in his name or your name?
It's in his name.
His name. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
And how much do you make a year?
I make about $70,000 a year.
Okay. All right. So we had some good news and bad news. I feel like in your situation, there's a lot of upside here, but then there's also these money habits that I want you to kind of get in control of that I think is going to give you some peace of mind. So, okay. First and foremost, rule of thumb, never have anything with motors and wheels that's more than half of your annual income. So you bought too much car. You bought too much car. Not that you can't get a Mercedes, get a used one. But I would look to see, I think that you're going to feel that. So if I were you, because you don't have much margin right now is what you were saying. And so being able to free up a $500 car payment a month, and I would go down in car. I mean, how much could you get for it if you sold it today?
Ooh, I don't know. I haven't checked Kelly Blue Book.
Okay, I would do that. That's on your list. Okay, so as you end this call, and I want you to really contemplate that, and not that you can never get a great car. Okay, but the thing is, what you could do if you wanted to, take some of this money out of your brokerage account to pay for it, but you're taking money out that you're going to have to pay taxes on and all of that. So I don't think that would be wise. I would get the car out, honestly. And then I would make a budget on living on less than $70,000, and that's gonna change your lifestyle. But look to see, hey, if you want to cash out some of this, for the medium side, if you want to, you can. But I would really, really encourage you to get that lifestyle under that $70,000. I think that's going to give you breathing room. So that may be cutting some expenses. But thanks for the call.